Often, this time of year, I reflect upon the very fond memories that I have of the Yamim Noraim and indeed the many years that I spent in your wonderful Kehillah. And the tunes, the evocative melodies float back. Oked v'hanekad v'hamizbeach. And I'm reminded of the many colourful and strong and warm personalities that used to surround us when we said when we had tefillah, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim, Moshe Garson, Tzchak Yisrael, Zichronam Livracha, and so many others. But something that they had, which I feel is so integral to the central message, not only of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim, but indeed of tefillah itself, which is emblematic, which so represents what the Sephardi Gibraltarian tradition, that special mode of relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what it represents. Allow me to present just a very short Torah idea. The Gemara says that it is possible to have two people with similar constitution, similar illness, chas v'shalom, and yet one recovers and the other one doesn't recover. And the Gemara says the reason that one recovers and the other one doesn't is because zeh hitpalel tfilah shlema v'zeh lo hitpalel tfilah shlema. One of them prayed a wholehearted prayer and the other didn't. And Rashi comments, a one-word comment. He says, hitkaven. One of them had kavanah. One of them was focused when he prayed, and the other one wasn't. But this is difficult to understand at a simple level. It's one thing if I'm praying for somebody else. Perhaps I don't feel it so deeply. Perhaps I'm unable to muster up within myself the level of empathy and compassion. But when I'm praying for myself, if I, God forbid, am ill, how can I be distracted by anything else? What on earth can the Gemara mean? Says Reb Elia Lopian Zichrono Livracha. And perhaps if I can paraphrase his comment with a simple analogy. Imagine the following scenario. God forbid somebody is stricken with an incurable illness. And there is no hope. In conventional medicine, there's no hope. But then you hear that there is some experimental technique that is being pioneered by a doctor in a hospital in Boston, shall we say. And you call up and you want to get onto the program for this experimental therapy technique, and you are rebuffed again and again. And the secretary says he is so busy, he'll never get on the program. He said, please, I'll fly over. Nothing doing. She says, you know what? But he's actually coming to London next week for a conference. And you might be able to catch him as he goes into the conference. And I'll give you the timings. You know, you have 30 seconds to make a pitch that may well save your life. How do you prepare for that? You craft every sentence. You rehearse in front of the mirror, the body language. How many tears? How am I going to do this? I must get onto this professor's waiting list. In my mind, I am utterly convinced that there is no other address. This is it. It's this or bust. Many of us take the approach to tefillah, which I sometimes call the scattergun approach. God forbid I need something, so I'll give a bit of tzedakah, and if it's a medical thing, I'll get a second opinion. If I'm Jewish, I'll get a third opinion, and then I'll go to his boss, and I'll speak to my cousin who knows a makubal in Tveria, who I think might be able to help me as well. Oh, and I'll pray as well, and hopefully one of them will hit the mark. Says the Gemara. Zelohit kaven. Tefillah is the utter dependence and vulnerability and the confidence in the knowledge that there is no other address. It is you, God. Baruch atah Hashem rofei cholei amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Hashem chonen hadat. This is it. And that, says Reb Elia, is what is meant in that Gemara. Both prayed, and both perhaps with tears, and really meant it. But to one, it was only one string in their bow. It was one approach. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, here is the secret. And as we approach Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim, and when I think back to those wonderful personalities and their relationship with God, which was unshakable, it was real. It may not have been incredibly sophisticated, and I mean that, God forbid, not in a negative or pejorative sense at all, but it was real. He was a tangible reality, and they turned and they prayed to him. He was there in the room. That's what tefillah means. And to the extent that we are prepared to make ourselves vulnerable and dependent upon the Ribbono Shel Olam, to that extent, he turns round to us and says, if you rely on me, if I am the only one you're turning to, then of course I will grant you a good year. 'Tis Kula Shanim Rabot, Ni'imot.